Hey, I just got back from a meditative walk in the woods by myself, and I want to share with you what came up for me because I think it could help you if you are the sensitive one in your system. We cannot deny that AI is programmed to make you feel what it itself cannot feel. Fair, right? So, psychological programming is a real thing. And in toxic family systems, children can be programmed not only because they have access to their own feelings, but because they're uh, compassionate enough, desire connection enough, people pleasing enough to want to carry other people's feelings. They are programmed to triple fold take on responsibility for systems and people and other like things. So I'm walking in the woods and I'm overcome all of a sudden by this sense of grief. And the detective in me starts thinking like, oh my God, what could I have done differently? You know, the same ruminations that happened when I was in it. Like, how can I solve this? What am I missing? What's my responsibility here? Well, on the other side of this family system, I know where the responsibility lies for having it end up here, and it is not here. So, still, though, when I go for walks in the woods alone and I have space to feel my own story, my own experience, I start to also feel the resonance of what these people will not feel. And what I mean by this is the grief that comes when I look at my children, or the grief that comes where you feel like, oh my God, like because it feels almost robotic. It's like, I want to wake you up. How are you missing this? How do you not grieve this? How do you deny this? How do you blame out there instead of like be with reality here? The grief, knowing that you're the only one grieving, or that people who are more innocent are the ones who are held captive to this grief, is a hard space to hold for me. And I've been doing it for a long time for lots of people. But all of a sudden, when I'm walking today, I get this sense of this kind of residual misplaced grief. It was almost like Creator came in and said, stop. If they will deny it, it is not your responsibility to apply it. Because I've done the work to be sovereign, to know what my position is, to know where the responsibility lies. And I've also been a sensitive person in a system who has been prone to carry things that I would love to be strong enough to carry so other people didn't have to. But I'm at a space where I can go, wow, I'm not going to necessarily, everybody says, oh, give it back to sender when you feel something that isn't maybe yours or aligned with you. I'm not going to give it back to sender because that keeps me in a direct relationship with them. What I will do is put it down. I used to take it on and carry it and apply that grief to myself. I grieve for people who didn't know that they should be grieving, right? I would feel sorry that they didn't know that they should be sorry. Um, the list goes on and on and on. So today, when I'm starting to kind of trail down this grief that is, yes, it's real to me, but it's also more about carrying other people's grief. Creator said, stop. Like, if they will deny it, which they will, they'll deny reality, they'll deny grief, they'll deny guilt, they'll deny that they make you feel guilty, all of it, right? If they're going to deny it, it is not our responsibility to apply it. And that is hard, right? When you're the feeler in the system and you're going, oh my God, how do they not see this? What's going on? How can this be the case? Um, it is not our responsibility at some point to make them see that, right? So for me, it's really interesting because I could take this, oh my God, I can anchor on the outside of that system. I can anchor a new reality for that system. But again, that keeps me in that system. And I had to get to a place where I go, my responsibility is no longer to that system, where my whole life I was triple fold took on this sense of responsibility for everybody in the system. So my work there is done, right? My work now is to be here, not try to figure out how I can always be there in that system, because there's a self-crucifixion that happens that I am literally just now, even after you might have been following me for years, resurrecting myself with all of me, not just like the parts of me that I would rather have, you see or me see, whatever, all of me. And I can finally understand what that sovereignty feels like of like, okay, this actually isn't mine. When you're so infested with parasites, they take all your nutrients, and you can try to be healthy all you want, but like they're in there chomping on you, right? When you get rid of that, when you're on the other side of that, that's the way that you know how healthy you are. And I'm not preaching estrangement here, but me being on the other side of that system is me going, oh my God, I didn't realize actually, even though I could say to you and talk about it like it's a story and kind of laugh about it, like most trauma survivors say, oh, that's just a story, something that happened to me. I could say it to you, I can know it. But being on the other side of that, I know how dysfunctional it was. But it's hard to leave something when you go, okay, this is hurting me, right? Because it's not hurting, it never really hurts enough. And you normalize it, you expect it. But being on the other side of that, it's like, whoa, I didn't realize how sick it was. I didn't really realize how sick I was. I didn't realize that, like, my passive suicidality was literally about things that weren't even really, there were things that were sticking to me, not things that were me. But I used to feel like the succubus. How many of you can relate to that, right? So it's so ironic that the most sensitive person in the system might be the one who's walking in the woods by herself, carrying around everybody's shit, carrying it so they don't have to. And yet you're the one who still feels like the succubus, because while you're carrying everybody's shit, it is leaking or leaching on your own true nature. And there was a stopping point for me today where like that wash of grief came over me. And then I just heard Creator say, if they deny it, it is not your responsibility to apply it. Like, do not take this on. If they're working on it and they're not denying it and they're in that grief space, okay, then maybe you can take some of that on with them. If they deny it, it is not our responsibility to apply it to ourselves, because that's when the detective work starts. That's when we trail down the woulda, coulda, shoulda, what could I have done different? How are they not different? Blah, blah, blah. And that keeps us in the tension of the system instead of being with the intention of the true self. So I hope this helps you if you're the sensitive one to remember. If they deny it and you're walking around carrying it, you do not have to apply it. You do not have to apply it, because it just makes you malnourished, my love. That hit me really hard today, so I hope that that can also be for you. Have a great day. Bye.